Hello there. The nursing staff of the British Health Service NHS are planning another strike for better wages next week on Monday, Tuesday and Thursday. According to estimates, around 500,000 people in various sectors already stopped working on Wednesday. Above all, they demonstrated for significant wage increases and better working conditions and, of course, for the right to strike itself, because no agreement had been reached by the end of January. The employees do not want to be satisfied with the previous offers from the government, because these are far below the level of the inflation rate of around 10% recently, or over 10%. The government is rejecting renegotiations, citing a vicious circle of rising prices. But in Great Britain, the wage dispute has been raging for months now. In addition, the government wants to restrict the right to strike with a law so that basic care is ensured, for example, for nursing staff and rescue workers. And this causes even greater resentment. The trade unions reject the project as undemocratic and have announced protests to run parallel to the strikes. And this displeasure is fueled by this controversial government project. Sunak and Secretary of Commerce Grant Shapps have had enough of the constant labour disputes since last summer or even spring and want to introduce legislation restricting the right to strike. Strict restrictions should apply to police officers, firefighters, NHS forces or railway staff. And Sunak argues that this should ensure basic services, as I said. People are not free to choose when they need an ambulance or the fire department, Shapps said. His draft offers a fair balance between the right to strike and the needs of the population. Well, on Monday, the Tories-dominated House of Commons passed the bill on a third reading. But resistance is expected in the upper house, so the House of Lords. Trade unions and the opposition have sharply criticized the plans. The project, as I said, was undemocratic, unfeasible and almost certainly illegal. That was the complaint came from the TUC General Secretary Novak. Striking workers fear losing their jobs. And Labour Vice Chair Angela Rayner calls the law the fire the nurses draft, hitting the nerve of many. In polls, a majority supports the strikers and many blame the government for the chaos. And finally, they blame the right persons. While in the past the Conservatives have repeatedly been able to blame the Labour Party, which is closely linked to the unions, for any consequences of strikes, observers believe that this approach no longer works. Too many people are themselves affected by rising energy and especially also food prices at the moment. Because of the cost of living crisis, these strikes can no longer be portrayed as ideology-driven, said James Frayne of the consulting firm Public First to the online portal Politico. Rather, the government's perceived stubbornness is weighing on their poll numbers. Labour has been in the lead for months and there is no signal of any reversal. As of now, the Tories should fear a debacle in the parliamentary elections planned for late 24 or early 25. But nevertheless, Sunak will not give in and rather the Prime Minister wants to get the backing of his party colleagues. Politico quoted a Tory MP as saying that inflation would soon fall further, which would relieve consumers. And that's why we have to stay as tough as possible. Oh, and I just can call this party the party of miscalculations since 2014, I have to say. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.